said most of the juvenile cases I get are black boys who cursed in school or threatened somebody or maybe pushed the teacher because the teacher pushed them. He said the schools are growing the prisons, not the gangs. The schools are growing the prisons, not the gangs. And so once the black boy gets out of jail, and you know that we have way more young men being charged as adults than any other race. Black boys get caught selling drugs, they're almost certainly to be adjudicated as adults, putting children in the same jails with adults. Do you know what life is like behind prison bars? Some of you may have been there. I've never been in prison as an inmate, but I'm often in it as a psychologist. There is no reason for a 13-year-old boy to be sharing a jail cell with a 55-year-old rapist. So the punishment is what? Psychological trauma. Many of our boys are being raped in prison, forced to do things that your mom wouldn't even imagine. And so they come out of jail, they socially and economically castrated, can't get a job. Even though you're 15, you was adjudicated as an adult, you can't get a job. One strike is like having two strikes is like having 3 strikes. And then your whole community is looking at you like, what's wrong? Why can't you get your life together? Failing to realize that you need opportunities to do better in order to do better. And our teens have the worst chance of finding a job of any teenager in America. Did you know that? Businesses in America would rather hire a child who can't even speak English than hire a black child because of the negative stereotypes that even we as black people participate in every day. And then stage 5, extermination, death. 1 out of every 4 black men by the age of 35 would have been killed, most likely by another miseducated, psychiatrically medicated, juvenile incarcerated, and psychologically frustrated black man. This is the rites of passage. And every black man you know, or every black boy you love, is somewhere on that list. Where is your son? Is your son just being miseducated, or have they automatically moved up to medication? Is your son incarcerated, or is he on the corner, pants sagging, angry, mad, walking around with a gun? He's frustrated, socially frustrated, and economically castrated, and there's only one stage to go after that, and that's death, y'all. That's America's rites of passage for black boys. But I ask you a question: where is our rites of passage? The enemy got one, but we ain't got one. Let's see here. Rappers and role models. Musicians are not the cause of delinquency in black boys. The absence of black role models in the neighborhood is the real cause. Rappers are only filling a void being left by so-called middle-class black men who forsake their neighborhoods for suburban wives and suburban lives. Lil Wayne is not the reason your son's pants are sagging. Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Soulja Boy, those are not the reasons that our sons are dropping out of school. They are not the cause of drug selling and marijuana smoking. The only reason why Lil Wayne can be a role model to a young brother is because there aren't any in the neighborhood. Right. Any boy would rather have a living role model than one on the radio. Any girl would rather have a living role model than one on the television. But when you ain't got successful black men living next door and down the street, when all the well-educated black men want to run to the suburbs, who are you left to look up to but black men who have made mistakes and haven't corrected them yet? So you turn to the only successful black men you can find, and they're on the radio and the television. So it's not Lil Wayne's fault that our sons are in love with Lil Wayne. It's our fault. What happened to the black male lawyer next door, the black male surgeon next door, the black male business owner next door? What happened? when we used to move back into slum-infested black neighborhoods and build them up. Now, the whole thrust in black America is to do what? Run away from your people. Right. And then when we get a house in the suburbs, we brag that we got one. I'm special because I'm the only Negro in my community. I'm special because my son goes to a $20,000 a year white private school where he's castigated and mistreated, but I would consider it a success. That's where we at. Post-traumatic slavery disorder. You don't leave your neighborhood, you build it up. Those boys need us, men, but we're not there. And if you have moved out of the neighborhood, I'm not going to automatically write you off. But I will unless you're coming back to the neighborhood to serve as a role model. So you live in the suburbs, but you got a mentorship program, you got a scout program, you got a study group. You don't live in the hood, but you do enough work in it, you get a pass because at least you're doing the work. My issue is for those who run away and never come back to give anything back. The myth of Asian and white supremacy. Black children have the lowest educational value of all children in the United States. Asians have the highest. The average Asian child in America spends 15 hours a week studying outside of school. 15 hours a week. That's about 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday, or Sunday through Thursday. The average middle-class white child spends about 8 to 12 hours a week studying outside of school. The average black child, be he middle class or poor, only spends 45 minutes a week studying outside of school. But we have people all across America who argue that African children are intellectually inferior to whites and Asians. Why are you surprised about this? Because when you study the history of IQ, when you study the nature of intelligence testing, what names do you come across? Lewis Turbin, David Wechsler, Henry H. Goddard, Dr. Cattell. You come across Francis Galton. I'm giving you the names of the European fathers of IQ testing, intelligence testing, and every last one of them was a white supremacist. I didn't say most, I said all. Intelligence testing grew out of a need to justify the extermination of African peoples. So why are you surprised that our kids can't catch up on a test designed to legitimize their oppression? What tests do our children take in order to get into college? They all take the SAT, Scholastic Aptitude Test. Do you know who invented that test? Carl Brigham. Who was Carl Brigham? A member of the American Eugenics Society. A devout racist who believed in black extermination. He's the father of the SAT. The intelligence quotient invented in Adolf Hitler's Germany by William Stern, 1913, 1 year before Marcus Garvey gave us the largest and greatest black movement of all time, unequaled and uncomparable by any other, including all of those in existence today.
Put together.
Put together. And why was Mr. Garvey more successful than Mr. Muhammad or Noah Drew Ali or Huey P. Newton? It's because he was the only one who did not put a religion on his movement. He said this is an African racial organization. If you Muslim, come on in, but come as an African. You Christian, come on in, but come as an African. You Hebrew, come on in, but come as an African. That red, black, and green flag represented all of us. Light skin, dark skin, whether you spoke Portuguese or English, whether you was Muslim or Christian, college degree or not, rich or poor, whether you were Puerto Rican or Nigerian, you were African. And so the Garvey movement appealed to everybody. I heard a brother mention earlier about how most Latinos are of African descent more than they are of any other descent. So correct he is. When you do your history on the Marcus Garvey movement, and we should all study it, you find what? That the most organized Garvey island was Puerto Rico and Cuba. Cuba had more Garvey chapters than any other country in the world. Puerto Rico was second. Back then, Latinos and Latinas knew they was African. We got a little bit of a problem today, though. We have people in the race trying to create a new race. People who don't want to be black. Some of us fall within that. Black people love to say what? I'm just a human being.
Right, right.
We love to be humans.
Right.
We don't love to be anything else, but we love to be humans because you think by identifying with humanity, you somehow make people blind to the fact that you ain't the same as they are. It's ignorance is what it is. The Italian wants to be an Italian. The Jew wants to be a Jew. The East Indian wants to be an East Indian. The Arab wants to be an Arab, and the black man wants to be a human being. Well, where were all the human beings during slavery? Where were all the human beings during Reconstruction? Where were they at during the Civil Rights Movement? Where were they at during Katrina? Where were they at during the Haitian earthquake? You better understand something, that the only people we can rely on is each other. There is no help outside the race. Anytime we got help outside the race, that help was used against us.
Come on, say
each
that.
and every time.
Say that.
You can't show me an example of a non-African organization that benefited black people without a personal agenda for themselves. I give you an example. My ancestor, Frederick Douglass, who did he work with? William Lloyd Garrison, founder of the American Anti-Slavery Society. When the 13th Amendment got passed in 1865, Frederick Douglass and Martin Delany and Alexander Crum, they came to William Lloyd Garrison and they said, we cannot dissolve this organization. The American anti-slavery movement must continue to exist. Garrison said, why? Your people are free. Frederick Douglass said, until my people got jobs, homes, health care, a decent education, they are still slaves. Garrison said, I did not start this organization to make black people equal with white people. I started this organization to free y'all. And that was it. And that's the assumption that we make, that because liberal people get involved in our organizations, that they're working for equality. Working for improvement and working for equality are two totally different things. You have people who are what? Animal rights activists, right? They work for the improvement in the treatment of dogs and cats and birds, but do they think the dogs and cats and birds are equal to them? In fact, when you study abolition, most non-African members of the abolition movement only got in it because they wanted to stop the rise and expansion of the black population in America. They were abolitionists to get us the hell away from them, not because they thought there was necessarily anything wrong with slavery. Again, this is not to bias you against anyone, to make you discriminatory in your thinking or behavior. This is not to make you racial supremacist, because I don't believe in racial supremacy in any color. Okay? I believe in freedom, justice, and equality. But we have to raise our political IQ, black people, because politically we're some of the most retarded people in this country. We don't understand nothing. We don't understand Obamaism. We don't understand the FBI. We don't understand the CIA. We don't understand sexual confusion. We don't understand miseducation. And as Dr. Francis Cress Wilson will tell you, if you don't understand white supremacy, nothing else in America will make sense to you. If you don't understand white supremacy, you got swept under the Obama situation. Black people thought he was Black Christ. And some of y'all still do. Spending your whole savings to go to an inauguration so a fictitious character can carry out the agenda of white supremacy. And you consider that to be a success.
Say that.
They have always been slaves put in the big house since slavery. We know that. They always used the few to control the many. We know that. So why all of a sudden in 2008 you forgot that? Die-hard black nationalists, die-hard Pan-Africanists. When Obama got elected, they started rethinking their political position. Well, maybe things are getting better. You fool! White supremacy might change color, it might change shape, it might change appearance, but it never changes its goals. Wake up. Some of us got a very high historical IQ. We know everything about Nile Valley, Kemet, Timbuktu, East Africa, West Africa. Some of us know everything about religion.